Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be discussing all the latest transfer news from Scotland and England, discussing a little bit of competitive football that has returned, and at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off in the land of Scottish football. So just before we go on to transfer news and we'll talk about competitive matches, we'll just talk about, sadly, a death that's occurred in relation to Scottish football. So it's related to one of the Lisbon Lions Celtic team. So it was confirmed yesterday by Celtic that John Fallon, who was the substitute goalkeeper for Celtic's European Cup win, he died yesterday at the age of 84. So John Fallon, if nobody who knows him, as I just said, he was part of the team that when Celtic won the European Cup in 1967. He didn't play in that game. He was only a substitute. He was a goalkeeper. So we were only talking a few weeks ago about
John Clark.
Was it John Clark who passed away? And now that's another Lisbon Lion, and John Fallon has passed away as well. So just wanted your quick thoughts on that.
It's two Lisbon Lions, both called John, gone in the space of a month. I don't know, bare bones of the Lisbon Lions. Obviously, John Fallon. Obviously, he was known as the 12th man of the Lisbon Lions team. Never got in the part, but he was a sub goalkeeper. And back in those days, there wasn't really sub outfield players. There was barely any subs. But he was the first choice goalkeeper for Celtic until Ronnie Simpson came calling into the team, and arguably Celtic's greatest ever goalkeeper. And one of Scottish football's best ever goalkeepers. So there's no harm in being second choice to one of the best. But like you say, it was a Lisbon Lion. He got the winners' medal for the final, and he spent most of his career at Celtic. He was a goalkeeper, backup. Another Lisbon Lion gone, called John. Another sad day, and I believe he was a good ambassador for Celtic in terms of helping out with the foundation and stuff like that, and charity events. And so I think, although he was known as a footballer, I think his legacy lived greater on throughout his time at Celtic in terms of helping out with charity work and those people in need, which Celtic's foundation was built on. So it's a sad day to lose yet another Lisbon Lion so soon after John Clark.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. Obviously, the team that played and was also involved in that massive Scottish football award. Obviously, the team there, they've all they're all gone now, really. So obviously, as you just said, kind of down to the last kind of couple that are still alive. Although he didn't play, obviously he was involved in that team, and he was involved with Celtic in the years after. Obviously attended the matches quite a lot, and I mean, I just thought it was worth pointing out because obviously we were talking. I think it was in the last podcast we were talking about John Clark. It might have been the one before that. So it's just quite. I just thought it was quite. It's quite mad how all these kind of legends of Scottish football are all dying out quite close to each other. So so just wanted to point that one out. Obviously, John Fallon, who has passed away at the age of 84. But we'll move on. So just before we talk about transfer news, a little bit of competitive action. So we've got the Scottish League Cup, the Premier Sports Cup, involving all the Scottish teams from the lower divisions and also in the top flight. That's getting played at the moment, the group stages. But I want to concentrate on the match, the Champions League qualifier That was last night, and that was Rangers versus Panathinaikos. So that was Russell Martin's first competitive game in charge, and Rangers victorious in that match. They won 2-0 with goals from Finlay Curtis and new signing Gasana. So, 2-0 to Rangers. That's the 2-0 first leg, and they're obviously going to the second leg with a 2-goal advantage, Pearse. I don't know if you watched the match, but if you didn't, just tell me, do you think that's a significant result for Rangers?
Well, I didn't watch the match, unfortunately. It was too late for me to watch. It was 5 a.m, so I wasn't staying up late for that. Obviously, it's a qualifier at the moment, but a massive game, obviously of significant importance to Rangers, who haven't made the group stage for quite a few years now. And obviously, the money that lies with that is astronomical in terms of financially. You've seen how Celtic have gained a lot of finance in the last couple of seasons and done well in the Champions League. So they were wanting to do similar. And obviously playing home in the first leg against Panathinaikos, who is a big side in Greece, one of the biggest. And they got a 2-0 win. I didn't watch the game, but I did see the 2 goals. And I thought the 2 goals were of quite high caliber. First, obviously, Finlay Curtis, the young Rangers Academy graduate, scoring his first competitive goal, and what a goal it was. I believe 2 of the goals for Rangers were on the counter attack, and to devastating effect, because both finishes were of the top drawer, cutting in from the left and bending it in the far corner. And obviously you mentioned new signing Gassama, so yeah, he looks a player. Obviously brief cameo, but I think promising signs for Rangers, and the fact is they've got a clean sheet and a 2-0 advantage to take to Greece. For the return leg, I don't think you can ask for any better. Because this is a Rangers side that have not played together very long under Russell Martin, only the first competitive match. So very early on in the season, and Rangers are still similar to a lot of teams in Scotland to get a lot of the signings confirmed later on in the window, because these qualifiers come around so early, but they mean so much in terms of later on in the season. So I think all in all, brilliant result for Rangers, and I think they've got a more than a fighting chance away in the away leg, because now they've got a 2-0 advantage to cling on to, and potentially qualify for the third round.
Yep. A very big result for Rangers. Obviously, these types of matches are really important, and because obviously it means it's a big chance to get into the Champions League. So to start off the Champions League qualifiers with a 2-0 win against a big side in Greece, in Panathinaikos, they're a big club and quite a difficult team to play against. I'm sure Russell Martin and Rangers will be happy with. In terms of the first half, they weren't great in the first half. Panathinaikos should have been 1 or 2 goals ahead. Didn't take the chances, and Rangers were quite slow in their possession. I think it's a very deliberate sort of style of play that Russell Martin has. It's very much keep the ball moving, passing the ball, and lots of movement from the players. You see the fullbacks coming into the midfield, and it's going to be something the Rangers fans are going to have to get used to a lot. But they were very slow, quite pedestrian in their play, didn't really create much. And then in the second half, once again, the second half started with Panathinaikos on top, but the youth player Finlay Curtis, out of nowhere, really came up with a really good goal from outside the box. He cut in and managed to get into the bottom corner, so that sort of changed the game. And then shortly after that, Panathinaikos went down to 10 men, and then one of the substitutes, the new signing Gassama, came on, and he got his first goal on his debut. It was one of his first touches, actually. So they actually could have had a third Rangers in the game, but they didn't take it. But they'll be going to Greece with a 2-0 victory. I'm sure they would have bitten your hand off for that before the match, considering that everything's all quite new at Rangers at the moment. After this, if they manage to get through Panathinaikos next week, then they play the final qualifying round match So, and then if they manage to get through that tie, then they go into the Champions League. So, they're not far off it.
Two more rounds.
And was it 2 more rounds? Sorry. So they've got 2 more rounds to play.
This is second, then they go to third, and then the playoff round. And Celtic are
Right.
on the playoff round at the moment. So, yeah.
Right, I see. Right, okay. So they've got 2 more rounds. So, actually, still quite a lot to do, but um, obviously, playing a team like Panathinaikos, that'll give them confidence, because I was actually quite surprised they're playing Panathinaikos quite early in the rounds like that. Because obviously Panathinaikos, not anymore, but it used to be the dominant team in Greece. They were quite a good Champions League record as well. So, yeah, but Rangers kick off with a 2-0 win. And we'll see how they get on next week, and we'll talk about that in the podcast after the match is concluded. So we'll move on now into some transfer news in Scotland. So I'll just kick off. I just talking about the signing that Rangers made, Gassama, who scored his debut last night. Looks a really impressive player. Another player that Rangers have added in the attacking positions. Looks really quick, quite skillful as well. And yeah, I'm sure that he's going to be a really dangerous player for Rangers in the weeks to come. But I was just wanting to talk about Celtic. So Celtic, not a lot going on at the moment, but they did confirm a signing last week, and that was Shin Yamada, who has signed from Japan. So Shin Yamada is a striker, quite a young player. And yet Celtic confirmed that signing last week. So Pearse, what's your thoughts on that?
So Shin Yamada obviously signed from Kawasaki Frontale in the G League. I believe Celtic have been tracking him since January when Kyogo left for Rennes. He was meant to be the Kyogo replacement. And obviously, I think they signed him for 1.5 million from Kawasaki Frontale. He was part of the Japan national team, the East Asian Cup in South Korea, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago. And he's only just finished that, and he's came directly to Celtic. He was paraded at the weekend against Newcastle before the match in their pre-season friendly. And I believe I've seen stats that he's recorded a faster speed than Kyogo Furuhashi and Daisen Maeda in the G League. So if he's that fast, then he'll be quite exciting to see, especially if you have Maeda and him in the front line together. It would be quite electrifying. But this season he hasn't hit the heights he did last season. He's only recorded 2 goals this season in the G League from 20 matches. But the season before he got, I think it was 18 goals in the G League. It was his breakout year. And I think if Celtic's recent track record of the G League under Ange, then if it's any good, then it could be another bargain for Celtic, because obviously you look at successes like Kyogo, Maeda, Hatate, but then you've also got some misses like Kobayashi, Ideguchi, and then Awata. Awata was okay, but he never nailed down a starting spot in that midfield. So it's going to be hit and miss. So we don't know how that'll plan out, but I'm sure we'll see him in the next couple of pre-season games before the season starts. And but I'm sure Celtic, similar to Rangers, will make more signings across the front line, because obviously they've lost quite a number of key players. So I think for me, it's a promising signing, because I've seen flashes of him in the G League. He does look a handful. Very diminutive, similar to Kyogo still. So I think he's like, without saying it, obviously Kyogo is like obviously a more experienced player, but if he's anything like Kyogo, then Celtic have found another gem. So I think Shin Yamada to Celtic, I think, is a good deal all in all.
Yep. I don't know much about him, to be fair. Very much going to be judging him in terms of when he plays for Celtic. So it's once again a really interesting signing. I think it was very much a club signing. I think the Celtic scouting team have been tracking him for a while. And as you said, the fact that I'm hearing things like he's quicker than Maeda, I mean, he must be a roadrunner, because Maeda's one of the quickest players I've ever seen in my life. So if he's quicker than him, then I'm going to be really impressed. I think I'm going to be really impressed when he plays for Celtic. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. There has been some success for Japanese players that have played for Celtic. Some have not worked out, but once again, another Japanese player sings for Celtic. And as you said, I do expect Celtic to make more transfer additions in the weeks to come. And I think that's what Brendan Rodgers is looking for, definitely. So, yeah, Shin Yamada confirmed at Celtic. And that's really it for Scottish football at the moment. Not a lot happening as such, but the league action is starting really soon. And once again, we'll be covering all that when the season starts. So we'll now move on into English football. Some of the clubs have started their pre-season tours. The likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, for example. So not really lots to talk about in terms of matches, but we'll just stick to the transfer news. And we'll start off with quite a big one. So it was confirmed a couple of days ago that Manchester United has signed Bryan Mbuemo from Brentford. So Bryan Mbuemo, he scored 20 goals last season in the league. His goal record for Brentford has been really impressive the last few seasons. Yeah, that's Bryan Mbuemo confirmed for Man United, and that's Man United added another attacking forward to their ranks. So Pearse, I just want your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I think that's a saga that kind of dragged on for a few weeks. I think we all knew that Mbuemo wanted to move from Brentford, because I think, let's say, he's done all he could. The manager's moved on, and I think that squad is kind of getting broken up in terms of the best players, because, as we know, Brentford are one of the, as an established Premier League side now. A lot of key players, and I think Mbuemo and Wissa last season were a joke, to be honest. They were just so good to watch. It's like every goal was like involved. They two were the architects of it, and Mbuemo, who can play through middle or the right hand side. And it's been a problem area for Manchester United recently, because that they just sometimes lead them shots in games. It's just like a powder puff attack, and I think with the signing of Bryan Mbuemo, that will elevate elevate their goals, because their goal return last season was very, very poor. The actual the defence the season before was woeful, and the defence this season was actually better. But they still finished just outside the relegation places. So a club like Manchester United should not be that far down in the league. And I think someone like Bryan Mbuemo has signed for Manchester not because of where they are in the league. Because if anything, if you look at the league table wise, he's taken a step back. But it's because of obviously the history of the club, and then obviously he grew up a Manchester United fan. So yes, he's took the number 19 shot, and obviously, like you mentioned about the stats of Bryan Mbuemo, he scored 60 goals for Brentford in his last six seasons in the Premier League. So for me, and obviously he had the third highest goal involvement in the Premier League last season, 27, with only Salah and Isak scoring more, with Salah getting 47 and Isak getting 29. So in terms of goals assists created, he's one of the best in the league. So brilliant signing, 61 million. I believe add-ons up to like 71 million. Maybe, yeah. So I think for me, Brentford are getting a brilliant fee for him. And obviously they get to reinvest that in the squad. And I think Manchester United are getting a world class player. Not I wouldn't say a world class player, but that potentially be if he takes the next step up to Manchester United. But he has been a very established Premier League player, and he's proven it season in, season out for Brentford. And I think this is the next step in his career, and I think he'll push Manchester United further up the league table.
Yeah, we both know Manchester United haven't been great with transfers in the last years, but I think with this one they've kind of, I think for this one they've got it right. He's a good age, 25. You know, very well proven in the Premier League. As you just said, all the goals that he scored. And he also played in a back three for Brentford. So we all know Amarin plays that system as well. So he would fit into that system really well. So he just feels like the perfect fit for Man United. Somebody that won't really need that much time to settle into the squad because obviously he'll know what Premier League football is about. The fee they got him for, as you just said, I think it's a really good fee. And from what I've seen of him, he is a really good finisher. In front of goal, he's really calm. Uh, you know, was a big part of Brentford getting into the Premier League and becoming established in the league as well. Um, uh, so I think he does deserve that kind of big move to one of the big clubs in the league. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. I definitely do think he will be a starter, 100%. I think he'll just play in behind the striker. He just looks like that kind of player for me. Playing alongside Cunha as well, who is another Man United signing. So yeah, it's the only question will be if he can handle playing for a big club like Man United. Can he handle the pressure? Because obviously Man United, they're spoken about every single day in the week in the media. Obviously his performances on the pitch are going to get judged even more. So it's just going to be interesting to see how he handles it. But from what I've seen of him and from what he sounds like and stuff, I think he'll handle it no problem. So I think it's a really smart signing for Man United. In terms of Brentford, but um, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about them because that's another sort of big player that they've lost. They lost their manager earlier on in the summer. Thomas Frank, he went to Tottenham, took a lot of the backroom staff with them. They lost their captain, Christian Norgard. He's went to Arsenal. Uh, Bryan Mbuemo, as we just said, and it looks like Johan Visa. It's not confirmed yet, but it looks like he could be heading out as well. Newcastle are really interested in him. So yeah, so for Brentford, it's a bit
After shut next season.
challenging times. Yeah, I mean that's the whole core of their squad.
Yeah,
Lost
like you
or
say,
gone.
you add on the fact of that as well, the fact they've got a manager that's never been a manager.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And he's having to deal with all these big players leaving the squad. They did sign Jordan Henderson, to be fair, last week. That's quite a big signing. I think he's a replacement for Christian Norgard. Jordan Henderson, we all know about Jordan Henderson, Liverpool captain when they won the Premier League. He's got bags and bags of experience. Um, Definitely and Premier experience to add to that. So I think
But,
he's a really good.
uh,
I
don't
think he's a
forget
really
the
good
bags
player.
of bags of money that he went to Saudi.
Oh yeah, and that as well. Yeah. So he's just got bags of everything.
What was it,
So
800K a week he was getting for 6 months?
yeah, it was crazy money he was getting over there. It really was. But in terms of Brentford, so it's a really good signing for them. But I will be honest with you, at the moment, I do worry about them in the league next season because they've lost a lot of their quality, a lot of their star players. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on next season and how they deal with that.
They also lost their goalkeeper as well, Flecken.
Flecking, yeah. They replaced
Leverkusen.
him with Kelleher, to be fair. I think
Yeah,
Kelleher's quite a good goalkeeper,
exactly.
so
I don't know if you've seen Flecken's debut for Leverkusen against Flamengo under 20s. You can see the 6 goals.
yeah, I know. I saw that, the fact that they got beat. That's crazy. By Leverkusen getting beat off the Flamengo under 20s.
That's Ten Hag for
That's
you,
quite
isn't
mad. Yeah, that's quite mad. So yeah, but yeah, that's Bryan Mbuemo away to Man United. Just talked about Jordan Henderson there, and lots of stuff happening, lots of things that are not confirmed yet. But we'll talk about these. I'll just go through a list of things that are not confirmed, but we will talk about when it is confirmed. Yeah, there's transfers that are near completion. Not all of them are confirmed yet. We'll talk about them when they are confirmed. But the likes of Hugo Ekitike going to Liverpool, that's nearly but confirmed. Marcus Rashford to Barcelona, that's nearly confirmed. Victor Gyökeres from Sport Lisbon to Arsenal, another one nearly confirmed. So, likes of them, once they are confirmed, as always, we'll discuss it and see how we think they'll perform for the team that they're going to be signing for. Uh, So for the final part of the show, Pearson will give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so we had some K-League 1 action at the weekend. Friday the 18th of July, we had Daegu FC 2, Gimcheon Sangwoo 3, Suwon FC 2, Gwangju FC 1. Saturday the 19th of July, we had Gangwon FC 2, Daejeon Citizen 2, Jeju SK 2, FC Anyang 0, Hwang Steelers 2, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 3. And then Sunday the 20th of July, we had FC Seoul 1, Ulsan HDFC 0. And on Tuesday, which was yesterday, 22nd of July, we had 3 matches, and that was FC Anyang 4, Daegu FC 0, Gwangju FC 1, Gimcheon Sangwoo 1, Hwang Steelers 1, Suwon FC 5. And we had obviously 3 matches played tonight at 7:30. Currently all 3 of the games are still going on at the moment. And that was Jeju SK versus FC Seoul, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors versus Gangwon FC, Ulsan HDFC versus Daejeon Citizen. And obviously the table looking like this. Jeonbuk at the top, 48 points after 22 matches. With a plus 21 goal difference. They're miles ahead of everyone and they look well on course to win the title under Gus Poyet. Second with Daejeon Citizen and 36 points. And then making up the top 3 with Gimcheon Sangwoo on 35 points. And down at the bottom half the table, we've got Daegu FC cut adrift a little bit. 22 games, 14 points, minus 16 goal difference. And in 11th place with Suwon FC on 19 points, having played a game less. FC Anyang, 10th, occupying the 3rd relegation spot on 24 points. So there's a little bit of a gap there that Daegu FC needs to cut quickly because they could face relegation this season. So that's the K-League 1, and then we move on to J-League 1. So we have Saturday 19th July, FC Tokyo 3, Urawa Diamonds 2, Shunon Belmari 3, Seizo Osaka 3. Sunday the 20th of July, we had Cashew Antlers 3, Cashew Aisel 2, Tokyo Verde 0, FC Michiru Zelvia 1, Shimizu S Pulse 2, Yokohama FC 0. Alberts Niigata 0, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 2, Fagiano Okayama 1, Vissel Kobe 2, Gambo Osaka 2, Kawasaki Frontale 1, Yokohama F Mariners 3, Nagoya Grampus 0. And then Monday the 21st of July, we had Avispa Fukuoka 2, Kyoto Sanga FC 2, and they've also got 1 match that's currently playing at the moment as well, Wednesday the 23rd of July, and that's Urawa Diamonds versus Shonan Belmari. So in terms of league table, it's looking like this. Top of the table, Vissel Kobe, top for the first time this season. Obviously they won the league 2 years in a row, but they had a really slow start to the campaign. But they've hit form at the right moment, and they're now back on top of the table for the first time this season. So 46 points from 24 matches. Second with Cashew Antlers on 44 points. And also in 3rd position, we've got Cashew Aisel on 44 points, but 2 goals behind 2nd place. And just outside the top 3, we've got Sanfrecce Hiroshima on 42 points. And then we've got Kyoto Sanga FC in 5th place on 41 points, having played a game less. And then we've got 6th place, we've also got FC Michiru Zelvia on 40 points. So really tight, incredibly tight there. You see 6 sides are all separated by 6 points. So it's really competitive top half of the table. And it's a really exciting title race this season in the J-League 1. In terms of the bottom half, it's equally as exciting. We've got Alberts Niigata and Yokohama FC, both on 19 points, 20th and 19th place respectively, and only separated by just a 1 goal. And then Yokohama F Marinos, 18th position, the final relegation playoff place. They're on 21 points. And then just inside it, we've got Shonan Belmari on 17th with 24 points, having played a game less with 23 matches. So in terms of other Asian football news, Anderson Lopez had joined Lion City Sailors in Singapore from J-League 1 side Yokohama F Marinos. Lopez was a J-League 1 Golden Boot winner the last 2 seasons, scoring 22 goals in 2023 and 24 goals in 2024. He and Yokohama F Marinos had a really poor campaign to date, with Yokohama currently flirting with relegation, a massive loss for both Yokohama F Marinos and the J-League 1. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.